subtracting to take away. He's subtracting to add. So whenever you go, oh, wait a minute, you mean to tell me, if I say take this, you're going to replace this, and what you replace it with will be better than what I had? If it's going to be better than what I had, please take it. If it's going to be better than what I had. Exactly. What's amazing? In verse 3, he said, you're already clean because of the word I've spoken to you. I don't think in most of our lives he's looking for disease. Not right now. Most of us were purged at the moment of our conversion. I think most of us, he's saying, I just think there can be greater growth. I'd like to just see you grow up a little bit more. I'd like to see you become a little more, who you're supposed to be. I could see more love in your life. I can see more mercy in your life. I can see more peace in your life. I could see you not have any anxiety. In fact, I'd like to see you start conquering some of your fears and growing in ways that you never even thought about growing, because those things were not even in your mind when you first came to me. All you wanted when you came to me was salvation. But now I'm sanctifying you. And now you're becoming the person you never dreamed you'd be. And how are you doing that? Back with me to John chapter 15. Here's how it's happening. Pick it up this time in verse 4. Jesus speaks and declares, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. I'm the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. If any branch does not abide in me, he's cast out as a branch and is withered, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. Your attention, please. What do we have to do once we are open to change and he begins that change? Well, second point, if you're a note taker, stay connected. That's what you need to do. Just stay connected. And the connection word in the Bible is the word abide. Abide. Now, why are you abiding? I have an extension cord here in my hand, and I think this makes sense. How valuable is this? Well, it doesn't have too much value until it's plugged into a power source. Once it's plugged into a power source, now the power goes through and to a place where that power is used. See your life as a connection point. And if you're plugged into the Lord, now his power is moving to you and then through you, touching another life. But if you unplug, what value? Maybe if you're a guy, you'd use this as a rope. Tie the Christmas tree on the top of the station wagon. Station wagon? That's the past. SUV, crossover. You see, the point I'm making is that in every generation we've used things and then we've abused things. They have their holy or design purpose, but they also have things we use them for they were never designed to be used for. Your life was designed by God to be used so that you connect to his power, and with that power, you influence the world around you. If in fact you disconnect from him, you're being used, but it certainly wasn't what he had in mind. No, not at all. No, you're called to abide. And if you want to find that word in your text and circle it wherever it shows, in verse 6, abide in me. Yeah, it literally means, and you can write down these words, continue or dwell or be present, you see. He's hoping that you will understand that apart from him, and here's the way he said it, you really can do nothing. How embarrassing, how absurd, how foolish. When you think you can do life not being connected to the source of resource. Where does that spirit come from? Oh, keep your place in John chapter 15. See with me where that spirit comes from. It's Isaiah chapter 14. And in Isaiah chapter 14, I'll set the stage. There are some sections of Scripture in God's Word that have dual identity. Dual identity, yeah. On the one hand, they're speaking to a specific character at that time in relevant terms. On the other hand, there's also a second identity. Now, that identity is given to us quite clearly. In the 12th verse, Isaiah chapter 14, we read, "How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How you are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Verse 15. Oh, really? You shall be brought down to Sheol, or some of your translations read, to hell, to the lowest depths of the pit. Those who see you will gaze at you and consider you, saying, is this the man who made the earth tremble, who shook the kingdoms, who made the world as a wilderness and destroyed its cities, who did not open the house of its prisoners? Your attention, please. What's that? This is a specific prophetic reference to the king of Babylon. It is, however, also a reference to the enemy himself, who has said over and over and over again, this is what I can do, and I don't need God to do it. Oh, really? Join the rest of the firewood, my friend. Firewood? He said, yeah, the only thing good for these things that decide to just go off on their own is they turn into firewood. The implications of that fact are a little scary, because I think that you may think I'm talking about damnation, a future separate from God where you pay the price through torment. Christian, listen. It's been said before, and I'll say it this time. God did not create hell for you. Hell was created for the devil and his demons. God doesn't send anyone to hell. You choose it. You say, I'm not going to do his thing. He goes, okay, listen, I gave you some options. I was actually not just looking to transplant, but to transform. And you had the chance to, at the end of that Bible study, leave your polluted pot and move to some sweet soil. But no, you chose to stay in your broken and crooked condition and not do what I was inviting you to do. You didn't stay connected. Here's the tragedy. The tragedy, going back with me to John chapter 15, is that this word abide implies, listen, an element of reward. You see, when I see the word abide and I follow that sentence in a Greek dictionary, the first word that pops up is the word stay. Now, what does that mean? Well, in my mind, I see a dog with a milk bone on its nose. You know what I'm talking about? Promise me there's a treat. He said there's a treat. He said, if you abide in me and I abide in you, you will bear much fruit. There will be a treat if you will just hang in there. If you'll just stay connected. If you'll stay connected, you stay there. What happens? There is a treat. It's in the future. Trust me. Salivate. I understand. Begin to anticipate. You should, because that's how good God is. How do I know it? Go back with me to John chapter 15. Here's where we bring it to a close. You are to expect change. You're to stay connected. And this time, in verse 7, we read, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, so you will be my disciples. As the Father loved me, I've also loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you'll abide in my love, just as I've kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I've spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you, and that your joy may be full. Come on back. Third point, note taker, right? Enjoy the gift. Enjoy the gift. What do you mean? The gift of access to God. Oh, I'll illustrate it to you this way. In my pocket, I have my keys. This is my keychain right here. And what do I have on my keychain? This key, master key, unlocks every door on this property. Now, sincerely and spiritually speaking, let me ask, where do you want to go? What do you want to do with your life? You need a job? Listen. He has the keys that open every door on the planet, my friend. What do you want to do with your life? You want to conquer some fear? He's got the key. You want to meet a new friend? He's got the key. Whatever you need, he's got. And here's what he says. He goes, will you ask me stuff? Why don't you ask me stuff? He goes, I want you to ask me stuff because I'm going to do some stuff, and I'm doing stuff on your behalf because I want you to have my joy, and I want you to have joy, listen, that is full. Full joy? Circle the word for full in the text. And close by, write this word. It shows up in a Greek dictionary. Listen, crammed full. It's crammed full joy. Can you imagine coming to church and being so crammed full of joy? I can't take any more joy. I got to get out of this Calvary place. I'm too filled with joy, man. I come to Christ. He gives me the gift of salvation. But with the gift of salvation, he gifts me with an ability. Can I speak for you, God? Can I preach for you? Now, I can't do that, Lord. I'm a sinner. I'm undone. Oh, your grace that comes after the gift is sufficient for me to use so that I can have joy being used of you. Now, how does he want to use you? I don't know, but he does. And sometimes it's just a matter of you tuning in and going, God, what is it that I do have to give? What could I do? Is there somebody in your neighborhood that maybe lost their job and they could use a box of groceries? Could you walk up to somebody at the gas station and say, if you look at the condition or their position or made aware of this time in their life, hey, let me go ahead and give you some money for your gas. You see, I found that beggars are beggars, but so many people who are hurting will never ask for a dime. But if you're in tune with the Spirit, what happens? If you're a secret agent of God, and you put a box of groceries someplace and decide to be anonymous, and that person is blessed, something's going to happen on the inside of you. You're going to have joy like you never had joy before. And if somebody ever does find out, what happens is that immediately, you're the one who provided the groceries. You have no idea what you did. You saved me. I mean, we were really thinking of, and you feel this sense of, oh, my hands were his hands. My heart was his heart. My eyes were his eyes. And your joy is full. You're full. Money can't buy that. You don't get that watching TV. Now, I don't care how many episodes of your favorite show you watch, you don't get that joy. That's not where that joy comes from. That joy doesn't come from getting a promotion at your job. That joy comes from being, I was a tool in the hand of God. I was an instrument. And he moved me there and I said this. He moved me there and I did this. And then afterwards, this happened and that happened. And I just didn't know I could feel this way. God, I'm going to get addicted to this joy thing. Exactly. But where does it start? Expect change. Stay connected. Please, by all means, don't forget to enjoy the gift. Why? That's where there's fruit, man.